and action. What's up, everybody? Happy Wednesday again. A week ago, I did my first one. We're on the second one. Contemplated doing one yesterday, but I had a feeling, I had a hunch that there was going to be some sort of news, and right we were. So, let's get right into it. Obviously, Dorsey is no longer employed by the Buffalo Bills, which, in a vacuum, is a good thing. It needed to be done. They obviously were not the same offense with him calling plays, and I think that it was very apparent that there was a huge disconnect, whether it was from the quarterback, the offense as a whole, with what he wanted to do week in and week out, their inability to get off to hot starts. Some cases they did, Cincinnati, Tampa, but then just the lull that they were in for halves, not even quarters or drives, halves on end, result in this move. So I don't believe the head coach when he said that it was his decision alone. I think that there were more people involved in getting rid of Dorsey, or at least had some level of input into getting rid of Dorsey. But that's how Sean talks when it comes to these types of things, because Sean believes that he should be the one to jump on the grenade per se, or take the sword, whatever you want to say. But now at the same time, in my opinion, I think it's the opinion of most, is Sean doesn't have any more scapegoats the rest of the year. He doesn't. Like, you're not going to say, oh, it was Joe Brady's fault now, or it was, the special teams coach's fault, or whatever the case. Like, it's on you, Sean. It's on you. You, over the course of your tenure, have fired and relieved multiple people, multiple coordinators of their duties. And Dorsey is now just the next one. Again, rightfully so, in my opinion. But I just, it kind of gave me a little bit of a resurgence. Somebody plugged me back in. Like I said last week, man, it's over. And while I still believe that it's 97% over, I am going to allow Joe Brady and his potential influence to turn the offense around and potentially go on a run. And it'd be different if, they didn't have the talent that they had as a roster as a whole, thinking they could go on a 5-2, a 6-1, a 7-0 run for the rest of the year. But they do have that talent. They do have that quarterback. They do have some of those pieces on defense still, even though some of them are hurt. And also, too, when they play better opponents over the course of their last 3-4 year run here, I don't know what that thumbs up was for. That was weird. Over the course of the run, they've played well in big games, regular season. So hey, look, it starts on Sunday. It's a short week for Brady. I think that plays into our advantage. I think would be more tough to be in the Jets' shoes, having to prepare for what? They don't know. I don't know. Nobody knows. Nobody knows but that side of the ball. And actually, they probably don't know, exactly how it's going to go. But what I do know is that if I was somebody on the offensive side of the ball for the Bills, I would be excited in the fact that, hey, yeah, maybe this can, turn it around for us, and we can start to be that more consistent offense, put more points up on the board. Look, Sunday, not to immediately fast forward to the game, but Sunday is a game that it's like, I'm not even asking for 31, 38 points, 42 points, something like that. It'd be great if obviously it happened, don't get me wrong. But you need 17, maybe 20 at the highest to beat this team, just the way that they are offensively. Yes, they scored 22 points against you week one, but one of those was obviously it's an overtime and it's a punt return. So it's either going to be 19 or is it going to be 22 if the Jets win that game? I guess maybe 18 if they got a safety. But that's where my head is at right now. I think that it's going to be an advantage for us. How do we take that? How do we roll with that? How does that translate to success on the field when they're on offense? Because again, the defense for the most part has played well. It seems like it's always the last 2 or 3 minutes of a lot of games that they've, haven't played well when it matters most. Monday was another one. New England, they just bend don't break, and they decide to break when it matters most. So, all in all, again, Dorsey being canned was the right move. I don't care who made it. It shows me that there's at least some remnants of common sense in that building, because that's exactly what had to happen. I got into it this morning I shouldn't say got into it. I had a back and forth with a Hall of Fame player, Kurt Warner. This morning on Twitter, he, went on, I forgot even what podcast he was on yesterday with Trey Wingo, 33 score, 33 record. I forgot the name of it now, but just lazy comments, just laziness, broadcasting to everybody that he watches every snap. No, you haven't. If you watched every snap of this team play football the last 6 or 7 weeks, you would know that there's something not right offensively. And that it's not specifically on one person, offensive coordinator, quarterback, playmakers, whatever, offensive line. But in the world that we live in any sport, during the season, it's not going to be put on the players. The person that's going to lose their job is going to be the coach and their coach. And that's exactly what happened. A lot of people use the 3-week stretch that they had with Vegas, Washington, and Miami, and yeah, they were obviously, Miami was the holy grail. That was the game that everything went right. They did everything right. They executed to a 10 the whole game from the jump. And like Dan Orlovsky said yesterday, the way that Dorsey was calling plays, everybody had to be a 10. You couldn't have one guy slip and be a 6 or a 7 or fail or whatever you want to say. If everybody was perfect, it was going to be a great play. Well, that's extremely difficult to do when you have 11 people trying to do that. One person, can slip and fall, whatever the case is. So, they did that against Miami. They had a phenomenal game on both sides of the ball. One thing that, again, some of those games, when you look at those games, they were turning the ball over. They were giving their offense more opportunities to score points. They haven't done that for a month and a half. They haven't. That fumble that Douglas had on Monday night was just a huge play, and it resulted in a touchdown. So, when you get them, they've been really well. It's crazy. Buffalo turned the ball over 4 times on Monday night, yet they still won the points off of turnover battle. Denver only had 3 points off of the 4 turnovers that Buffalo had. we had a touchdown. So, but again, it's a different team. They had Milano, they had Trey, obviously up until the fourth quarter of the Miami game. Daquan Jones, Rousseau doesn't have his foot injury that he's been playing through for the last month. They were just a better team. Hyde obviously played. He didn't play on Monday. But even if you kind of take that back, they were decent against Washington offensively. But they had 4 turnovers on defense. And they gave them great field position. So when you add up those things, it should make your offense better. Those things haven't been happening. We all know the average start of their offensive drive for the last month has been their own, 18-yard line or something? When it's your own 18 and not your own 41, that's a big deal. You're talking about minimum 20-plus yards. So, that's a huge thing. It's going to make your offense better. But we'll see. Again, I've kind of turned a little bit, not a lot of it, a little bit, and I think that I'm going to give Brady the benefit of the doubt and allow him the opportunity to either show me he can succeed or he cannot succeed in being my play caller. I think from what just he is and his mindset and how he approaches the game, he has been a play caller before with Carolina. He has an experience. We know what he's done at his time at LSU. They were the most prolific offensive college football team in the history of the game, collegiately. He's part of that. He's part of the passing game the most. And Burrow won a Heisman and 5,000 yards and whatever, and the receivers and the whole kit caboodle. So, is it right to expect it on Sunday with 5 days to prepare? I think that's a little much. But it's not like they hired him off the street to now be a play caller. He's been with Josh now for 2 years. He's been around this offense for multiple years. So, it should just be a little tweak, a little, something here, something there. Hey, this is how we're going to approach this down and distance now. Or this is what we like when we see this from the defense. Defend every blade of grass is his mindset. Using your team speed. That's where the game is. That's football. That's professional football right now. The good offenses in football do that at a high level. And we easily can't. We have. We have. So it's not like we haven't done it. We've done it. It's just it hasn't shown up for 2 months. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited for all you fantasy football players out there. I'm going to go out on a limb. Pick up Deontay Hardy and think about, if you have a bye, if you think about starting them, or if you have somebody that maybe a flex, maybe. I have a sneaky, just a hunch that Hardy, I'm not saying he's going to get 15 targets, but I think that there's going to be some wrinkles in there, especially to get a very aggressive defense that the Jets play. All it takes with a guy like Hardy is one little step, one wrong step, and he can be 30 yards in a blink of an eye. He's that type of player when he gets the opportunity. So I think that's got a little potential. My eyes, that has a little potential there. I think that they're gonna get the ball to Cook more, especially out of the backfield. I think that that's a matchup that they want. Look, the Jets, they have a really good defense. I don't like the Jets. I don't like Saleh with a bone in my body. I think he's an arrogant asshole. I think that he inherited a pretty good defense. Because he was a good defensive coordinator with San Fran. My quarterback lit him up, and we played him on Monday night during COVID. But I just think that he's, first of all, he's got under like a 39% winning percentage in his career as a head coach. So like, dude, like cool, like you're great defensively, but it doesn't really mean anything if your offense can't score any type of production whatsoever. So Buffalo has to take Breece Hall out of the game. If they can do that and limit his ability to make plays with the ball in his hand, I think that's going to be huge. Yeah, they're probably going to make a couple of plays with, Garrett Wilson. They're going to look to expose whether it is Benford. I'll be honest, man. And I'm so incredibly happy that they have Douglas, not just now, but he's going to be under contract with them next year. Watching him play, he was cornerback number 1 on Monday night because obviously Benford was out. So, like, welcome in, throw you into the fire. Like, you've been here for 12 days and you're going to be, our top cornerback. I thought he played very well. He has a knack for breaking on the ball very well. He's constantly looking to, strip the ball, make a play, take the ball away. And I like that style. I think that's the way that everybody should play on defense. But so I'm excited about that. The more time on task that he has within the offense, getting Hyde back. Hopefully, I would think that he would play. And then, we'll see where Benford is with a hamstring. If it were me, I would probably keep him out. Because, again, I think that you should be able to get away with it playing Zach Wilson and get him ready for, or have him be more ready for Philadelphia the following week. And then obviously have your bye. But yeah, I mean, I when it comes to that game, the weather looks just chilly. No precipitation to be concerned about, or a huge wind game whatsoever. So, I think the vibe that they're going to have now in the offensive room could push into the defensive room. And this game is it's such an emotional roller coaster week in and week out. And if they can catch a sniff, I'm not sitting here saying that they're going to go peel off 7 in a row. But if they can get a sniff and grab it and take it and run with it, the team has the ability to go win 5, 6, 7 games in a row. They've done it. They have. So, it always looks bleak when you start that run, especially when you're coming off of losing 3 out of 4 back-to-back games and whatnot. And I said last week, look, kudos to Denver. They've been playing better football lately. They beat Kansas City at home. They've been playing better. And it's, again, I think I said it last week, but I know I've said it to other people. It's such a week-to-week league. Like, I know that's coach speak or whatever you want to call it, but, like, it is. When you play teams at that given week, can really dictate how the outcome of the game happens. If they played Cincinnati first month of the season, they probably beat them because of how we were playing on offense, the injuries that we had. They were coming on. Burrow still had that lingering calf. They were playing bad football. Fast forward 2 weeks ago, they're playing some of the best football in the league. Now they lost Houston. Devin Singletary did us a favor. So yeah, but anyways, that's my idea or my opinion with Joe Brady, the Jets coming up, one at a time. That's how they have to approach it. That's how they'll approach it, especially with their head coach. They're not gonna be this team to look at what they have ahead of them in future weeks. It's the Jets, and beat the Jets, and you go from there. And all they can do And I hate to sound like Sean McDermott, but they have to control their controllables and just do what they have to do to go out and win a football game and be in a spot. They were 5-5 in 2021. 5-5 now. 2021, they got hot and they were the hottest team in football. And 13 seconds happened. So, like, all it takes is that spark. Again, they have the talent to do it. This is not a team in years past where they're kind of like at this spot in the season. It's like, oh no, maybe if they didn't have it. They didn't have the horses back then. They have the horses now. And a lot of those horses are healthy for the most part on offense, I'm saying. We'll see what they get back on defense. We'll see if they win, 3-4 in a row. See what happens with a Milano or a Daquan Jones. I don't know. They were talking about the Christmas time with both of those guys potentially. Maybe a little bit longer with Milano, but you just give yourself a chance. Give those guys a chance to come back and be impact football players like they have been for you. And is it right to expect that coming off of, the significant injuries that both of the guys have had? Probably not. But again, I think it's one of those shot in the arm type things. I think it's just one of those mental things that, like, a Terrell Bernard is going to play better knowing that 58's next to him instead of, all-world Terrell Dodson. What else? Broncos game. I'll get into that a little bit here. Just how the game went. Can't turn the ball over. It's like first play of the game. There's New England written all over it, right? First play of the game, bing, bing, boom. You get the ball and, turn it over. That's not how you want to start a game. That's not, you don't want that at any point in time. I agreed with McDermott's benching of Cook. I disagreed for the length of said benching. I don't think it should have been. I turned to my season ticket guys. I'm like, he ain't going to play in the second half, or the rest of the half. He's going to see the ball in the second half. Not going to see him. And they brought him back, 5 or 6 minutes left in the second quarter. Sat out like 2-3 drives, was it? I forgot exactly the number, but and then came out with his hair on fire. His hands were also a little bit on fire too. He golfed up the ball a couple more times, but they just, they played well enough to win. They played bad enough to lose. How does that sound? Field possession killed them. Some of that was turnovers. Some of that was special teams. Denver had a couple decent returns. But again, I keep going back to this. All of what happened, you roll it all up, right? Offense has the ball. They come down the field. They score a touchdown. They score a go-ahead touchdown with under 3 minutes left. You're at home against a team that really hasn't moved the ball down the field. The drives that they had when they scored, they had advantageous field possession. So you're starting them at the 25 and saying, hey, 2 timeouts. Yeah, they got the 2-minute warning, but a defensive stop, a defensive play, strip sack, an interception, whatever you want to do, wins you the football game. Again, the defense and the defensive play caller failed. They stopped Denver. They stopped New England. They're 7-3. Everything that's happened. All the turnovers and this, that, and the third, the fumbles, the what have yous, the all this stuff on offense. You make 2 stops in 2 separate games. One with under 3 minutes, one with under 2 minutes in New England. Josh scored that touchdown at the 2-minute warning. There's 2 minutes on the clock. I think New England had 1 timeout. Maybe 2. Maybe 1. I don't remember. Nevertheless, that's supposed to be your defensive play caller's, your head coach's wheelhouse. That's where he is supposed to outcoach his opponent. And he's failed now twice just in that area. I talked about situational football last week. Once again, situational football loses them another game. Situational football is on your head coach. He is supposed to know what to do in those specific spots, especially when you've been at it for 7 fucking years. It ain't his first rodeo. It ain't 17. It ain't 2018. He's seen all this. He's seen it all. Like, there really hasn't been anything that we haven't seen as Bills fans watching these games and watching the way that they've lost some of the games that they've lost over the course of 7 years. We've fucking seen it all. From Hail Marys to misbatted passes on 4th and 19s. You name it, we've seen it. But I haven't seen 12 men on the field. Check that box now. Got that one done. So that's won't happen again. Won't happen again. It should never happen. And this is just, again, it's another reason why, like I said last week, they've peaked under this coaching staff. Remove Dorsey. Well, literally, he was removed. But just remove him from your brain. They've peaked under this staff. The general manager and the player personnel people have done their job. Have they hit on everybody? No. Who has? Draft picks, free agents. But for the most part, I'd probably say 75 to 80%. It's been pretty good. It's up to the coaches to then put their teams in position to succeed and at the same time understand situational football when it comes down to, okay, Denver is clearly playing for a field goal once they get that, I think it was like an 8 or 9 yard run. If you thought with no timeouts that they were going to run another play outside of a kneel down, that alone is a fireable offense. So, first down happens, timeout, they get an 8 yard run. Okay. You have an opportunity at that point in time to know they're going to kick a field goal. So why don't I just put my field goal block team, which is typically your base defense, on the field? Right then and there. So I don't have to worry about any substitution, whether they want to kick it on 2nd down, 3rd down, 4th down. I have the team that I need to have on the field on the field. You don't do it after when you have a timeout. Okay. They need the ball. 2nd down. Could have subbed there. You know what they're doing. You burned a timeout. You could have subbed there. You could have said defenders on the field at that point in time. Did it again on 3rd down. And now the clock is running. Denver's running on. They know exactly who they have to have on the field. How could you not? You now have, first of all, in that game, you have guys that have not played in the positions that they have because of injuries. Your Micah Hydes, your Benfords. You have guys that have been banged up. Cam Lewis got hurt. So, now you have guys who are not usually in that spot to either run on or run off, having to do that. 12 men on the field. Guy misses the kick. Game was over. You got a big play against New York to win last second. You got a Hail Mary that didn't marry. Whatever you want to call it. Against Tampa. So you've been flirting with it. And it finally came back to nip you in the butt. And, again, it just... it just can't. It's going to keep happening. Like, I was about to say it can't keep happening, but it's going to. It's going to. They're going to find another way. Do I think they're going to go undefeated the rest of the year? No. So I think that they're going to find another way. There's going to be another heartbreaker, another way to lose that they're going to pull out of the bag of tricks to say, hey, look at how we blew this one. And it's going to come down to coaching. It's going to come down to coaching. Was the pass interference call on Teron Johnson egregious? My opinion, yes. Couldn't have played any better. Couldn't. Jerry Jeudy does not have the right to run through the defender to get to the ball. The defender has every right to look back for the ball, which he did, and to be there. He has to go around him. He tried to go through him. Jeudy also left his feet. When you leave your feet, in any sport, you lose. You are no longer in control. That's not on the defender. That's not a penalty. That's it. He played defense. So, and again, they have to look at a shit ton. But they really need to look at these underthrown footballs. And just as if you get one of these guys here, ball's not catchable. An underthrown ball like that should be deemed not catchable. What's the difference? If it's long or short, if a guy throws a ball 10, 15 yards short, it's the same thing, theoretically, as throwing the ball 10 or 15 yards further. It's not catchable. That's the point. So it shouldn't be, because it happens in a ton of games. And it is such an offensive advantage to say, well, let me just kind of, lazy one this up and, I'm going to get a call. It's not right. It shouldn't be. They need to look at that. They need to, as a league as a whole. Because plays like that, it's almost an automatic. It's an automatic flag. Changes the way the game. Or you want to do something. Okay, it's a 5-yard penalty. Repeat whatever down it is. Underthrown ball, you get 5 yards. I don't care how far down the field it is. 5 yards. Excuse me. Repeat the down. Don't make it a game-changing play. Because that's just not how the rule was intended to be used. It isn't. So, what are you going to do? Injury perspective, I don't think anybody... Well, the coach really didn't say anything yesterday. I know that there were a couple guys that went into the x-ray room after the game, but I don't think it was of any... merit. I don't think it means much. I think it was Leonard Floyd went in there. Don't know who else. But again, I think they came out unscathed. The rest of the year, they still have an opportunity. I mean, they do. Whether one wants to believe in that, that's on you. I think I'm at the cautiously cautious, optimistic stage or level or whatever you want to call it. Like, extremely cautious. Because, again, I just don't believe in my head coach anymore. They can go out and win 5, 6, 7 games. Nobody on their schedule. First of all, there's really no world beaters right now in the NFL. There isn't. You get a Detroit Lions team who's a really good team, which I'm going to save that for a future video. But they go out and 41 points. Granted, they gave up 38, but look fantastic. But you rewind a couple weeks, they lost to Baltimore 38-6 or whatever it was, and got just crushed. And then Baltimore turns around and loses to Cleveland, and Cincinnati, beats us, and they lose to Houston at home, and it's just there's so much parity that all it takes is one of these hot streaks. It's all it takes. All it takes is the people, the players in that room believing that they have the talent and the wherewithal to do it. Because they do. They do. So, again, cautiously cautious. That's what I'm going to say. Cautiously cautious in terms of my optimism level for the rest of the year. One at a time. You can't put the cart before the horse. The only game that matters is the next one, and that's the Jets. And, it's a divisional foe, so divisional games are always tougher. But I think that they really, I know this is going to sound stupid, but for how much that team and that coach and that quarterback that's hurt talks, like, their shit don't stink. I mean, every part of every player that wears a Bills helmet this Sunday should take this game personally. Because I guarantee you that everybody and their mother is going to think that they can't win this game with how they've been playing. So if there was ever a game to hang, to win 31-10 and have it look like, Buffalo might be, they found something here, and to do it against that opponent, that could be the springboard to say, okay, we're going to go into Philadelphia, who's banged up, who hasn't been playing great football. Good team, don't get me wrong, they're top 5 team in football. But, again, whether you're the 5th team or the 10th team, there's really not that much of a difference this year. There isn't. Heck, if you're the best team in who's the best team in football right now? Who is it? Are people back on the San Fran wagon because they beat a grossly overrated Jacksonville Jaguar team? Sure, take it. Take the top spot. You want Baltimore? They just lost. We're gonna sit here and say Kansas City is. That's fine. They've looked terrible. They've looked not like Kansas City in years past. So, there is not that team in either conference that is, they are light years ahead of everybody. The Cowboys, who decimated the Giants, who their owner needs to sell the team. The Giants. They've kind of had like a little cupcakey, they played Philadelphia tough on the road. They've had some cupcakes last couple weeks. And kudos, you beat up on the cupcakes. You ate your cupcakes. Good, cool. You're supposed to do it. Congratulations. Dallas is Baltimore. Dallas, people are saying that Buffalo is the AFC version of Dallas. A lot of talent, but they somehow, some way find a way to throw it down the drain. I would argue that Baltimore is ahead of us when it comes to that because, A, we've had more postseason success than Baltimore has in the last 5 years, 4 years, whatever you want to call it. And their quarterback has failed in big games. Where has ours done that? Sure. But he's also played extremely well in big games. He's won big games. He's won multiple playoff games. Actually, he won a game against Baltimore's quarterback in the playoffs. Who threw a 102-yard interception for a touchdown? Lamar Jackson did. So I would argue that Baltimore is more the AFC version of Dallas than Buffalo is. I wonder what Kurt Warner has to think about that. Anyways, so there's no clear cut. Here's the top team, and then there's a gap, and then there's everybody else in either conference. There just isn't. So that gives you an opportunity. I think there's 11 teams or 10 teams in the AFC that are 5-5 or better. Let me look that up real quick. Hang on here. 5-5 or better standings playoffs. 5-5 and better. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, including Vegas. 11 teams. 5-5. 10 games into the season. The best team is 7-2. That's Kansas City, who obviously just had their bye, so they've only played 9. Baltimore 7-3. 2 games separate from 1-2 spot down to 10th or the 11th spot. So don't tell me that one of those middle 6-3, 5-5 teams can't spin off 6 or 7 wins, 5, 6, 7 wins in a row, and the other one of those teams do the opposite. Because in this league and this year, it absolutely can. It absolutely can. So the question obviously is, why not us? Why can't we do it? Well, I think one of the reasons why we couldn't do it, we got rid of it yesterday. Still got McDermott. He can be the guy not to. He can be the guy to all of a sudden they go 3-4 down the stretch and they're 8-9 to finish the season. But I think obviously I'm going to root for them to do it. Who's not? Because it's the years like this, and I'm going to wrap this up here in a minute because this is now going on almost 45 minutes. Don't want to take up too much of your time. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, this is the year. This is the year to be that hot team. Whoever wins it all is going to be one of the teams that just catches fire, gets hot, and separates. That's what I think. So again, this is the year to do it when you have so many teams just in your conference that anybody can beat anybody right now. Really. Anybody can beat anybody. One at a time. One at a time. Starts with the Jets on Sunday. Did I give a prediction? I think I might have. And I was obviously wrong because I picked on the win. I'm not going to give a prediction this week. It's going to let it play out because I gave a prediction last week and it didn't turn out well. So I'm not going to do it. What I will say, and I will double down on my guess or prediction, if you want to call it, from earlier, is pick up Hardy. Just, I got a feeling. Hardy on Sunday, he's going to have 4 or 5 touches that are going to be big for them. And are going to help them if they do win the game will be plays that you'll look back on and say, man, that player, this player, these plays coupled really helped them against the Jets. So that's it. That's all I got. Do it again next week. Is next week? Next week is the holiday, no? Yeah, it is Thanksgiving. Look at that. So maybe Tuesday next week. Just based on my schedule, but yeah. We'll catch you guys next week. As always, go Bills.